Some kind of big lizard.
The Skraby Show starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
Hello and welcome into the Skraby Show for March 9th, 2026. Thank you so much for joining me. It's nice actually to have some light outside as I'm doing the Skraby Show. It reminds me of summer, which is on its way, and it reminds me of baseball season. So happy to see that there is some sunlight still outside. Like when we go into the winter here and it just gets dark so quick and it makes me so tired and I still have to do hours worth of the show. So I love it way more when there's sun out and what is it? Is it daylight saving time instead of savings time? Either way, this is the worst one for me. I am very tired today. everybody's tired today. So thank you for sticking with us here on the station. Team USA World Baseball Classic taking on Mexico right now, and it is 0-0 in the top of the third inning. Team Mexico, actually, Bryce Harper just roped one off of the pitcher's foot, and he took it. Where did it actually hit? I'm going to see. I don't know if he tried to get out of the way. It looks like he tried to. I think it hit the ankle bone. Oh, my good grief. I almost said something else. The ankle bone is so painful. I don't know if anyone has ever been golfing and sometimes I like to spin my putter in my hand as I'm walking and sometimes it smacks into my ankle bone. Ouch. I don't know how this guy is still going to throw because that is brutal. Bryce Harper just roped one into his leg. Anyway, it's 0-0. Oh, it's bottom of the third, not the top of the third. No outs. Aaron Judge about to come to the plate. Meanwhile, Venezuela, bottom of the seventh, they lead Nicaragua 4-0. Luis Ariz has been awesome this World Baseball Classic. He hit 2 home runs, I believe, on Saturday, and he's been doing good things. So we'll see what happens. But remember, because the title of my YouTube is Get Fernando Tatis Jr. to Opening Day and Quickly. And remember what I did a few weeks ago, where I went through some of the stats of the Padres players in the last WBC and then how they started the season and was trying to determine whether or not a good World Baseball Classic means a hot regular season start, and it didn't matter. So what Fernando is doing right now, although is really, really fun to watch and really great to see, because you always want Fernando to be a guy who's playing well, because when he's playing well, everybody seems to play well. But so far in his he's 4 for 8. He's got an OPS of 1.567. He's got 5 walks, and he also has a grand slam, which he hit today. So things are going well for Fernando. Manny, on the other hand, going well as well. I didn't want to do it like that, but it happened. 429 batting average, 1.285 OPS, 4 walks instead of the 5. And again, we said this earlier, the pitching is not, especially at this stage, the pool play in the World Baseball Classic, the pitching is not major league pitching. And not always. I can't say that there aren't any major league pitchers on these teams, but the pitching is a little suspect in the pool play from some of these teams. So we have to take that into account. But Fernando walked 5 times in the WBC so far. So I asked Sam this earlier, and I have a couple stats here. But if Fernando is going to be either the 3 or the 4 hitter, Aaron Judge, home run, 2-0, Team USA, bottom 3. If Fernando is going to be in the middle of the lineup, do we need him to swing at more pitches, or do we need him to continue building on the walks that he's built last year? So if you're looking at his walk rate over the years, 2023 season, his walk rate was 8.3%. And then 2024, it went down to 7.3%. And then in 2025, it went up to 12.9%. So obviously the highest walk rate of his career, most number of walks in his career, in the 155 games played. So that was something we were talking about last year because it seemed like Fernando wasn't chasing the low and away slider or something, one of those pitches, one of those breaking pitches that breaks outside. He wasn't chasing those. And so he was walking more. Now he's still going to have to lay off those pitches. But if there's a pitch that's closer to the zone, and it could be called a ball, or if he feels like he can get to it, do we want him to swing at that or do we want him to take the walk? And I think that we want him to swing at that if we're putting him in the middle of the lineup. Now, of course, he's going to not he shouldn't swing at pitches that are far from the zone that are going to be balls no matter what. He shouldn't do that, but anything close, I think I'm okay with. Now, if you look at his strikeout rate over the years, everything has gotten better as well. 2021, he had a 28% strikeout rate, which is a lot. 2023, 22.2% strikeout rate. 2024, 21.9% strikeout rate. And 2025, 18.7% strikeout rate. Now, here's where I think he would be perfect. He has a 12.9% walk rate last year. He has an 18.7% strikeout rate last year. If you could move up the walk rate to like 15%, and then you can move the strikeout rate down to like 15%. I don't know if he can get there because strikeouts happen and strikeouts are a part of this game that we are watching, this current edition of baseball. So if he could get even better with his decision making on pitch selection, then I don't know what is going to be stopping this guy. And if he can hit in the third or fourth spot and he does get a walk, no problem. But last year we were saying, hey, your job as the leadoff hitter, Fernando, is to get on base, so we need you to walk more. But now that he's going to be probably most likely in the cleanup spot, I don't personally want him to walk more because I don't want to have to rely on the 5, 6, 7 hitters to drive him in all the time. Fernando's job is to get the guys that are on base in front of him home. And that means more swinging. So does that mean more strikeouts? Possibly. So maybe his strikeout rate going down to 15% is not possible. Maybe it's going to hover around 18.7%. Maybe it's going to hover around, 20%. But I think that he is probably, it just seems like from what I've seen so far this year from Fernando, it just seems like each and every year he becomes more mature and he realizes and knows what he has to do. And it seems like his maturity has just taken his game to a new level. And this year, age 27 season, people are looking at as the year that he's going to break out. Like, this is usually the year that guys in the past have broken out. And so this is the Fernando season. Chris says, swing at strikes, don't swing at balls. I know. I know it's a weird thing for me to say, but we know that Fernando can hit balls that are outside the zone. We know that Fernando shouldn't swing at that slider low and away because we've seen that a million times. But really, we didn't see it as much last year until he started to struggle and until he started to get into that little bit of a rut. We didn't see those swings outside or low and outside. That's what he's got to avoid this year. Same with Manny. Manny has to avoid that too. But Fernando, even if he does walk, he's going to get you. He has an opportunity to steal base. So it's not a bad thing that he walks, but I'd rather, if guys are on base, have him take the opportunity to try to get the bat on the ball and drive in some runs. Now, I'm not going to complain if Fernando doesn't walk as much as he did last year, because, again, that's not part of his job. But so far, he has been awesome in spring training and the World Baseball Classic. Another home run for Team USA. Now, Cal Raleigh got hit by a pitch, so it put two guys on, and then Roman Anthony, Red Sox prospect, not prospect anymore, he's a big leaguer. He hit a monster shot to put USA up 5-0, bottom of the third with 1 out. Went 417 feet, 105 off the bat. Did anybody see the Kyle Schwarber home run from over the weekend? They said that it only went 427 feet, which is a complete lie, in my opinion. It went up on the third deck. Kyle Schwarber almost hit that out of the stadium, and they say it's only 427 feet. I know that they have all these measurements down, and they have Baseball Savant and StatCast and blah, blah, blah. But we can't figure out how far a ball's going to fly. 427 feet. What is let me go look at the fence in right field. What is it, Dakin Park? I'm going to go look at the dimensions because he hit it like so far over the right field wall that I cannot believe it is 427 feet. Okay, so right field is 326 feet. Right center is 370 feet. Or I'm sorry, right center, deep right center is 408 feet. He hit it like in the right center area, which would be 370, but it looked like it flew more than 50 feet. Because that's what they're saying. It only flew about 57 more feet than what it was from the fence, which I do not believe for 1 second. If you have any thoughts on Fernando and what you want to see from him, you can go to the chat and you can put that in there and or you can put your opinion in there. Go to @The Skraby Show on YouTube, also at 97.3 The Fan SD, and then Facebook, 97.3 The Fan X. Matt Skraby, 97.3 The Fan SD. Also, listen on the Odyssey app. If you download the Odyssey app, AUDACY, just search 97.3 The Fan or The Skraby Show or Gwen and Chris, and you'll be able to find all of that. All right, when we get back, Jake Cronenworth. Kevin Acee wrote an article about Jake Cronenworth, and the question was, what kind of ball player is Jake Cronenworth? And it was very interesting because we seem to not complain, but we may gripe about Jake Cronenworth from time to time, but he's actually statistically much better than we're all giving him credit for. So I'll tell you those stats on the other side. Skraby Show, 97.3 The Fan. Matt Skraby broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. We're actually going to, before we end the show today, we are going to hear from Alex Verdugo, who spent a couple minutes with Sam Levitt. So we'll play a couple of those to get you to know Alex Verdugo a little bit. We have some comments on the chat. We'll talk about Jake Cronenworth in just a second. Chris says, Tatis' success is making me wonder if Pujols should have gotten the nod as manager. I don't think so, because Fernando's going to hit whether Fernando hits. It's not about Albert Pujols. I think this is all a Fernando thing. I honestly think that Craig Stammen, and he hasn't managed a real game yet, so I understand why people are still skeptical. I'm still skeptical, but I honestly think Craig Stammen is doing a great job so far as manager. I don't find any faults with the way he handles things. I don't think that Craig Stammen is an adversary for these guys. I think that they know he's going to have their back 150%. I think that Craig Stammen, we'll see, because the actual wins have to come on the field. But I think that we could say after this year, hey, he wasn't as bad as we thought he was. I really do think his playing career is going to help a lot, and that he's not too far removed from his playing career is also going to help. I also think that the Dominican Republic team has vibes above replacements, got 99 VAR, because everybody is having a great time with the Dominican Republic. So I think that's also something that we can point to for what Fernando's doing. But anyway, let's hear from Alex Verdugo first, and then we'll talk about Jake Cronenworth after. But Alex Verdugo was signed to minor league camp, not even a minor league deal with a option to be in major league camp, but he was signed. He's coming off of being with the Yankees at the end of last year, I believe, but he is going to try and make this team. But Sammy Lev asked him about his decision and why he signed with the Padres.
Alex, new organization in spring training camp. How has this experience been so far?
It's been great. Obviously, a little bit different, but, just happy to be playing ball, happy to be out here with the guys, and, just kind of getting back into shape and, just getting ready.
Can you walk me through the process of how the decision came to sign with the Padres, agree to a minor league deal, kind of how this offseason went?
Yeah, for me, I think a lot goes into it, but really just we had a couple options, I guess, but, not too much. And I think for me, it was more of, do I want to go on the East Coast and be a minor leaguer, or do I want to stay over here and be a minor leaguer and kind of work? And so we made the deal, to come to the Padres, and, I live here, so it's very close. I got to stay at my house for the first spring training that I've actually been able to do that. So it's been really cool. And, obviously it's a great group of guys, great organization, 10 minutes from the house. So I just figured, just stay home, have some time to work and get right.
All right. That was Alex Verdugo. And it was kind of interesting. Do I want to be a minor leaguer on the East Coast, or do I want to be a minor leaguer out here? So he already knew his situation. I think that's very valuable if you know your situation, because then you can create a plan and you can try to get to where you want to go. But let's do one more clip. He also talked to Sammy Lev, and this one's just a little bit longer, but he talked to Sammy Lev about the opportunity he has with the Padres.
The way I'm thinking about it, and the way that I go about it, is that this is just an opportunity, right? A foot in the door, go back, get my body healthy, clean up some things that have been bothering me in the last, for some time, and just kind of get back to just moving and feeling like my own self. And, I feel like I'm a lot closer to my normal. And, I just figured, if it's kind of like you're almost betting on yourself in a sense, right? It's just like, I just want to come out here, be healthy, play ball, and, just if I'm up there with the Padres, that's ultimately the end goal, get up there and help them win games and do whatever I can. But, we're focused on what we have to focus on right now. And that's just, getting healthy, getting right, performing down here, and then, get the call.
When you say getting right and working on some things, what are some of those things in particular that you felt like you needed to work on?
A lot of it stems just to my back leg. For the hitting aspect of it, never really struggled in my life with hitting. So, I think the last year and some change has been a little bit of a grind for me mentally and physically. So I think just having some time off last year, just kind of sitting back at the house, breaking down some things and understanding not only my body, but my swing patterns, just kind of realized that, a lot of my left leg, my whole left side of my chain was kind of a little bit imbalanced. And, even if, let's just say your glute's not firing, maybe your knee, your adductor, your hamstring is kind of starting to get that stability in there. So I just felt like when I was loading in, I wasn't really into my back hip, my legs as much. I was kind of just real drifty, pushy, kind of getting out of it. So, it was just, cleaning up the body. And then that's when I say when healthy. It was nothing where it's like, oh, it's such a bad injury, you got to be on the IL. But it's more of like having a better regimen, having a better routine in the weight room and understanding my own personal body of what breaks down. I think that's been the biggest thing that I've worked on.
There was Alex Verdugo. I've never really heard him talk too much in his career, but sounds like a guy who knows exactly what's going on and knows the situation. And hey, if he can help the Padres, then that will just be great. And if he can't, then as we were talking about earlier, the risk of Alex Verdugo signing him, there's not a big risk. So if it doesn't work out, then it's all good. But if it does, I mean, there's got to be some sort of great baseball player in there somewhere, right? We know he was the main piece in the trade that brought Mookie Betts to the Dodgers, and Alex Verdugo was pretty darn good when he was with the Dodgers. I don't know if anybody remembers, but let's see. In 2021, he hit 289. He had a 777 OPS. 2019, 817 OPS, 294. He's a career 270 hitter. He hasn't hit that many home runs, but he's also been a guy who he also had MVP votes in 2020, but that's the 2020 season for Boston. Either way, he's got a pedigree of being able to do it at the biggest level, the highest level, I should say. So if he can make it happen here in San Diego, that would be great because they have they need all of these guys if they're going to win a World Series. That's the biggest thing for me. And some of these are flyers, obviously. Alex Verdugo is a flyer. And like I said, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. No big deal. But if these guys do work out, these are the guys that you see on teams late in a year making big plays. So if I'm going to romanticize it a little bit, one day maybe he's up at bat for the Padres in the playoffs against the Dodgers and he ends up getting the last laugh against the Dodgers type of thing. That's where my mind goes. It always goes into like the movie realm, but if he could do something, then it will be very worth it. Now, Jake Cronenworth is underrated, I think, in my opinion. I think he's underrated because his defense doesn't seem to get the right attention. It seems like he has a bad defensive score, defensive metrics. And I'm not really sure why, because the guy gets outs. So I don't really understand the defensive metric. And by the way, Bobby Witt Jr. just made an incredible play in the World Baseball Classic in the 5.5 hole, threw out Alejandro Kirk from his butt, basically, from that shortstop position. So anyway, great throw. But Jake Cronenworth, he puts together really good at-bats. And Kevin Acee put out these stats. But since 2020, Jake Cronenworth has seen as many pitches as almost anyone in baseball, 3.99 per plate appearance, which again was more than all of 18 players since 2020. He puts 40% of pitches he swings at in play, and more than all, but 41 players over the past 6 seasons. He gets on base as much as anyone, 1,070 times since his debut, more than all but 34 players in that span. That is also the 5th most by any player in franchise history in the first 781 games of his career. Now, the thing about Jake Cronenworth is his approach to at-bats is something that he's been doing for a really long time. He makes the pitcher throw a bunch of pitches. He drives up the pitch count, and obviously sometimes it doesn't work out for him. But Jake Cronenworth is a guy who's going to give you quality at bats every single time. There's no wasted at bat with Jake Cronenworth. And when you put 40% of the pitches you swing at in play, that means you're seeing the ball well. That means you're making contact with the ball well. Sometimes he does get into that rut. I understand everybody gets into a rut, but there were some seasons where Jake wasn't great. Specifically, I think it was after the 2021 season. I would have to go back and look at his numbers because they all blend together at this point. But Jake Cronenworth being someone who gets on base as much as anyone, 1,070 times since his debut, more than every player except for 34 players. That's a lot of players. And that's a lot of great at-bats that Jake Cronenworth is putting together. And if you're going to look at him, I've been liking what I'm seeing from Jake at the leadoff spot. I don't know how much he's going to hit at the leadoff spot this year, if any. But I do think that Jake Cronenworth is showing right now, hey, you can put me in that leadoff spot. I can be a little bit more flexible. Also, he can play almost every position. I think he can play every position in the infield. He's never played third, I don't think, in a professional game, but I'm sure he could pick up third if he wanted to pick up third. So when you think about Jake Cronenworth, you got to think, hey, what is he doing that no one else is doing? And I just told you, 3.99 pitches per plate appearance, 40% of pitches he swings at in play, 1,070 times since his debut, and also fifth most by any player in franchise history in the first 781 games of his career. So what he's going to offer you, he's not going to offer you 25, 30 home runs. He's going to offer you 15, 10, or let me say 13 to 18 home runs. It's a big difference, but 13 to 18 home runs. He's also going to wear down the pitcher, and he's also going to play every position in the field if you need him to. So Jake Cronenworth, I guess we need to put a little bit more respect on his name, because you got someone like Luis Ariz in the lineup, and he's known as the contact guy. He's known as the guy who is able to put the ball in play more than anyone. But Jake Cronenworth was being overshadowed by Luis Ariz. And so I'm thinking, I don't think I can say that Jake Cronenworth's going to have this big, massive career-changing year. But if he can do what he's done in the past, but do it more consistently and hit 270 instead of like 240 or 230, if he could do that, it's going to help the Padres a lot. And Jake Cronenworth needs a little bit more respect from us because he does a ton for the team. And I don't even know his contract because, I know all the contracts that are bad contracts, but I don't know the contracts that are good contracts. And let me go see what Jake Cronenworth's contract is, because he signed a 7-year, $80 million deal. He's getting paid $12.2 million this year, and for every season the rest of his career. Like that's a I don't know if it's a steal, but it's definitely a great price for a guy like Jake Cronenworth, because you could probably say that he could have made more money elsewhere. But at the time, the contract was kind of crazy. But now that you're seeing where they're going with this, they'd much rather pay that $12 million than have to go out and sign a free agent for a little bit more. So there you go. Jake Cronenworth thoughts. Alex Verdugo thoughts. World Baseball Classic, bottom of the fourth. USA up 5-0 on Mexico. Aaron Judge is up right now, 2-for-2 in the game. Venezuela still leading Nicaragua 4-0. When we get back, I have some random stories. And Garrett Wilson, the Jets wide receiver, has an idea for the video game franchise, sports video game franchises, that I think is actually very smart. And I'm not really sure why I haven't heard of it before, but I'll share that with all of you. Also, we have some other random things like the new McDonald's burger. Kind of want to ask people about. And then we never got to this on the show, but the Los Angeles Marathon was insane. And I never talk marathons, but this is crazy. So we'll talk about all of that when we get back on 97.3 The Fan.
The biggest guest.
Final segment of the Skraby Show for Monday. I do have a little bit of a different schedule for this week. We have some UCSD conference tournament basketball happening on the station. So Wednesday, I believe. You know what? I'm just going to pull up the email. Because if I say something and then I'm wrong, I'm going to be mad. Let's see here. I should have probably pulled this up a little bit earlier. Wednesday, no Skraby Show. If they win on Wednesday, then Thursday, no Skraby Show. But what you need to know right now is that Wednesday, there is no Skraby Show because UCSD basketball is going to be playing. So, I will still say hi to everyone, though. Okay? Let's talk about this Garrett Wilson post real quick. Because he was talking about Madden, and I was talking about this last week. Do you need to buy MLB The Show every single year? Because mostly the gameplay is the same. They might have some things different, but for the most part, the gameplay is the same. So Garrett Wilson put this out on Twitter. He said, "What do y'all think about a 2-year cycle for games like Madden, MLB, and FIFA? Personally, I think it would change everything for the better." Someone said, "Agree, but they want the most amount of money for doing the bare minimum." And then Garrett Wilson replied, "Well, I believe keeping the players engaged and playing the game the whole year would get them the same profit. They get more hungry at the end of the year because they're trying to compensate for nobody keeping up with the game. Just live updates to gameplay and roster changes keep it fresh." I think Garrett Wilson's onto something here. Because I think it is a little bit of not price gouging, but it's a little bit of an excessive thing that you have to buy the game each and every single year, and games are getting more expensive. Let me go see what MLB The Show is pre-sailing at right now. $70. So you're paying $70 each and every year for these games. By the way, no one go buy MLB The Show 25 for $70 because the new one is coming out in like a couple days. So you would be wasting money. That would be a waste of money. But I think Garrett Wilson is onto something because it's going to make people feel like you're not taking advantage of them so much. It's going to make people feel like, hey, I bought this game. I have it for the next 2 years. And then you got to assume Bobby Witt Jr. just made another incredible play from the 5.5 hole. Man, he is on fire today. But if you do this, you feel like, hey, I'm going to have this game for a couple of years. Then you have the in-game purchases. And maybe, I don't even want to say it, but I guess I would be okay with this if I didn't have to buy the game again. Maybe they charge you $10 to get the new rosters for the year or something like that. $5, whatever. Like, it has to be because I don't want to keep buying. What am I supposed to do with these games year after year? I'm never going to go back and play MLB The Show 23. Why would I ever go back and play that? Although I did used to go play 2K10 a lot, MLB 2K10, and I would strike out Tony Gwynn Jr. because that was the only game I had with him in it. But I like this from Garrett Wilson. Do I think that the EA Sports people and video game people are going to like this? Absolutely not, because their whole thing is built upon everybody buying the game each and every year. But there's something up with this process now, because you can do all of that. Update everything online now. You don't have to get the new game for the update. Back in the day, that was the only way you're getting new rosters. You're going to get the rookies. You're going to get some of the other players. You're going to get the new. You're going to get the new. What am I trying to say here? Ratings. That's what I was trying to say. You're going to get the new ratings, but now they can do that online. Dominic says, "I think the last video game I bought was Super Mario Brothers on a PlayStation." I don't think Super Mario Brothers went on a PlayStation because it was a Nintendo. So maybe you bought the Sony version of Super Mario Brothers. Last game I bought, I think I told everyone last week, was Madden 26 because it was like $40 $14.99, $6. I would have to go back and look, but it was very cheap. That I am the deal guy. If you can, I will not play a video game for 3 years if I end up being able to buy it for like $10 down the road. Gonzo says, still waiting on GTA 6. I've heard a lot about GTA 6. Is it just like they cannot get it going? They can't finish it? I don't know what's going on with GTA 6, but I know that there's a lot of people upset about GTA 6. But I don't know. Garrett Wilson, at least he's thinking. Here's a comment. It's almost like they don't understand that if you produce quality games, profit will only increase. But nah, they want to put out endless promos and SBCs that no one with a real life actually does. That's kind of true. It's kind of true. Yeah, and everybody's here in the comments saying, this is never going to happen. This is never going to happen. Come on. We can make it happen if people stop buying Madden. I think I was playing a music bed on the YouTube. You can go watch YouTube if you would like. Search The Skraby Show or search 97.3 The Fan. You can watch the show. Or you can just listen on the Odyssey app if you download AUDACY and you then go and search for The Skraby Show. Now, I never talk marathon. Mainly because I don't really keep up with the marathon news, but also because I have never run a marathon, and I don't want to say I won't run a marathon, but I cannot see myself running a marathon. I cannot see myself doing that. It's 26.2 miles. The 5K was enough for me last time. Man, oh man. Would a marathon be crazy? But here's the story from the marathon. American runner Nathan Martin won the Los Angeles Marathon yesterday by the closest margin in history after overtaking Kenya's Michael Kamau. Sorry, Michael, if I pronounced that wrong, by 0.01 seconds. The 36-year-old Martin finished in a time of 2 hours, 11 minutes, and 17 seconds after he chased down the Kenyan race leader, which is Michael, from over a mile and a half out. Can you imagine making your move at a mile and a half out, and then you end up winning by 0.01 seconds? I cannot even begin to fathom how Nathan Martin was able to find the energy with a mile and a half to go, catch the leader, and then end up winning. And you could find this video of Nathan Martin crossing the finish line, but he like sprints down and just gets ahead of the Kenyan runner to win the LA Marathon. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how anyone does 2 hours, 11 minutes, and 17 seconds for a marathon. That is outrageous. That is outrageous. I just can't even. Outrageous. We got some comments. King Bueno says, still play Madden 09 on the PSP. Brett Favre on the cover. Chris says Spartan Race. I've done a Tough Mudder. That was hard enough for me. Kathy says, my Fire Stick plays video games now. Wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know that Fire Sticks do that. Pokemon changed their formula and are taking way longer for this next generation. It's probably going to work too. So I'm not sure what you mean by that. They changed their formula because Pokemon was it was like a Game Boy thing, right? In the beginning, I remember playing it on Game Boy and you would just go around and collect Pokemon. You would find them and everything. But now they have Pokemon Go where you could play virtually and you're catching Pokemon out in the streets and stuff. So maybe that's what you're talking about? Because Pokemon Go it's just been the same app for a long time, I think. Hawkeye Dave said they just showed Scooble in the USA dugout. I thought he was going back to Detroit camp. I believe he's going back to Detroit camp. after this game because he said he said he's going back. So I don't know. Maybe he would just want to stay and watch the game, and then he could fly back. Maybe there's no flights out for him this late. It is 8:49 p.m. there in Houston. One more thing about about Pokemon. They are just taking way longer to make this new one for the Switch 2. I gotcha. Seems like video game making is tough. I've watched a few documentaries, still don't really understand how they do it, but it's awesome when they do it. I played a bunch of Madden 26 over the weekend, just a bunch. And I like to I like to play online, but I got my butt kicked by, I don't even know how old this person was. I'm just going to assume they were 12. But I never quit games no matter how far I get down because I don't want that to go on my record. But I was down 28-0 in like halfway through the second quarter. And I was like, I'm never going to score on this kid. I don't understand how some of these kids are so good. Like I can't even get the ball off before I get tackled. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. We still have the Daily Gripe to go, so stay there. But I wanted to ask everyone if they have had the new big arch that McDonald's has put out. Now, I don't know exactly what is on the big arch, so I'm clicking on it right now. It says, wondering why this is the most McDonald's burger yet? Let's start with 2 juicy quarter-pound, 100 blah, 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 topped with both crispy and slivered onions, zesty pickles, crisp lettuce, but what truly sets it apart is the new Big Arch sauce, tangy, creamy, with the perfect balance of mustard, pickle, and sweet tomato flavors, all served on a toasted sesame and poppy seed bun, making each and every big bite, equal parts of juicy, melty, and saucy. It does look pretty good, I gotta say. But I do know that the stuff that they make and they put in the commercials is nowhere near what it actually looks like when I get it. Katrina says, I don't do McDonald's. What do you mean you don't do McDonald's? Briang says the most annoying thing of Madden is that the plays are literally the same every year. They never change. You can download playbooks. I've downloaded a couple playbooks. And I got more motion plays. Sounds like the Grand Mac. Katrina says, sounds like they're trying to make In-N-Out sauce. I have no idea what the sauce is. It's orange, but it's like a darker orange than what In-N-Out sauce is. I might have to take one for the team and go try one of these big arches for everyone. Not sure if I'll do it this week, but it is a limited time, so maybe I do need to get on this. Oh my gosh, I don't know. Okay. Now I'm thinking big arch and I'm hungry.
What's annoying Skraby today? Let's find out. It's time for the Daily Gripe.
Katrina says we don't eat McDonald's. I understand that, but why? McDonald's is like, come on. McDonald's is not that crazy. It's not that bad. Come on, people. If you go eat Taco Bell, you're eating the same. Okay? Daily Gripe. I gotta go find it. Oh, yeah. So, the Daily Gripe today, I don't know if I've done this in the past. Oh, Chris says do a tasting with Klug and make him pay. So, it's pretty good. That's a pretty good suggestion there, Chris. Dean said it was awful. Are we talking about the big arch? Because it looks delicious. Anyway, Daily Gripe. When people don't understand the tone of a text, and I will say, but I won't say that earlier on the Chris and Adam text chat, I feel like there are some misunderstood tones. And this happens to me from time to time. I always say, you cannot take tone from text because there are no fonts for that. There's no italics for that. You cannot take tone from text. There is no such thing as tone from text. Okay? Now, if you send a text in all caps, that's tone. But if you're saying something simple and you're just going along with it, or you're just saying it, You can't take tone from text. All right. That's it for today's show. Team USA still up in the World Baseball Classic. We'll be back with you tomorrow. Chris in the studio. Tony calling the game. Have a nice Tuesday show for you. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you for listening. Be safe. Talk to you tomorrow.